Glad to have now the head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks, Sam Pittman, with us here on the Morning Rush. Coach, good morning.
Morning, guys. How y'all doing?
We're doing well. I know spring practice is underway, and it's getting to that time you like, full pads and ready for full contact.
Yeah, yesterday was our first practice of full pads. There's not a big difference in shells and thighs than full pads, honestly, unless you're tackling to the ground. But we want the kids to get used to full pads because we certainly have a scrimmage on Saturday. So very physical practice, and things have been going well.
Coach, this is Clay. I watched a couple of your practices in the last two weeks or so, and you talked about it yesterday, just how hard your team practices, how hard they play in games. How do you accomplish getting it? I think playing hard is the essence of coaching, but how do you coach them to play hard?
Well, you need one. It starts with one guy playing hard, and then you emphasize the heck out of it. And then you'll get two, then you'll get three, and before too long, being tough, being physical, playing hard becomes the norm. It becomes the cool thing to do. And so we had one or two, and it turned out to be 5 or 6, and now I feel like we have a team full of them, Clay. To be honest with you, I think, if someone complimented you and they said that you were tough, I think that's a huge compliment. I think if they said you were a loyal person, I think that's a huge compliment. And then I think if they said as a football player that you play extremely hard, I think those are 3 of the top compliments you can get in life and on the football field. And if we can say that about our entire team, then we should have a pretty good ball club.
Well, that probably makes the head coach smile if someone tells you your team plays hard. I will ask you now, competition is what makes the world go round. If somebody else is doing a better radio show than us, we're going to try to get better. Do you have the right kind of competition on your team, and where are some really interesting battles that you're watching this spring for starting positions?
Well, on the O-line, I think we have solid competition there. I think we have right now probably 7 or 8 guys that we feel like we can go win SEC games with. Probably the biggest competition there would be at both, at the tackle spot with Devin Manuel and what to do with Tykees Crawford. And then, wide receivers, there's a bunch of competition there, certainly with Malik Hornby adding into that, as well as quarterback. I think there's competition there at those 2 spots. Running back, you've got it all over the place, And then on defense, it's not as much on the D-line as much, Clay, because, they rotate so often, But there is competition of who's going to be the first one in there. I really have been impressed with Torian Carter this spring. I mean, really impressed with him. I think he's had an outstanding spring. I think Deke Adams has done a really good job with him. And, of course, linebacker with Paul Sanders, those guys are and Jordan Crook, those guys are having a competition there. Woodard's played well. And then the competition's all over the place in the secondary. But I think the biggest competition we have out there is at corner, where we've moved Chavis, certainly bringing in Nudie McLaughlin. Those 2 guys have helped us. And Day Bishop hasn't quite been healthy yet. But I think between Clark, Chavis, Bishop, and McLaughlin, I think we've got really healthy competition there. And I've been really pleased with Keywan Parker this spring as well.
Coach, you've got 6 transfers that came off the portal into the program and 18 new players that will come in through the recruiting process. What's it like, and what are the challenges as a coach to kind of onboard those new players, particularly at a time of the year in spring where that percentage of your roster is pretty large with the outgoing players? How do you and your staff go about that, and what challenges do you have in the spring trying to get 24 new players acclimated to your glossary of terms and the way y'all go about things? What's that like this time of the year for you to get those new players indoctrinated to your way of doing things?
Well, I think twofold. Number one, a good coach, first and foremost, is an outstanding teacher. And we have those guys on our staff. I think that helps. As far as getting acclimated to the climate, that's up to the players. And our players do an extremely a great job with acclimating these guys in the standard or how we do business here at University of Arkansas. And I think sometimes it's very eye-opening for the guys. And I'm not talking about just the new guys. I'm talking about the transfer guys as well. But, you know, the old days of one or two guys coming in for spring ball has certainly gone by. You know, you just talked about 20, 22, 24 guys that certainly has changed the game. You know, of the signees that we had, we have 4 coming in June, and the rest of them are already here. So it's certainly changed. I do think the best time to go into a program is in January, because the game's not so fast. You can have a little bit of time to orientate into classes, into being a college student, into the weight room, all those things. I think it is the best time to come in to a university for an athlete. But the team, I'll give the team credit for the location part of it, and it seems to me like all these guys have done a really good job, and I don't feel like we're going to lose any of them and homesick and all that. I think we've done a good job as a team and as an assistant coaching staff.
One of those transfer players came from Alabama, linebacker Drew Sanders, a place on your team where you really had, Clay and I were talking about this earlier in the show, we talked about it during the season last year, you had really 3 starters for the 2 inside spots on the second level of your defense. You got Bumper Pullback, who made 125 tackles last year. What have you seen from Drew Sanders, and how do you think he possibly fits into the mix with some of the veterans you got coming back and Bumper Pool anchoring that linebacker spot?
Yeah, I really like him. I think Bumper's, again, like we just spoke about, I think Bumper's really done a nice job using his leadership and the respect that he has from the team and from his position group. I think he's done a nice job with Drew. Drew obviously was an outside, more of a pass rusher, edge player there at the University of Alabama. We've moved him inside, which is a totally different world. I think he's doing an exceptional job there. And I think there's healthy competition there. Pool's obviously the man, and then, you know, Drew and Poopall and Crook and Woodard. I think those guys are a healthy competition. And I really like Caden Henley. He's getting better all the time and makes a lot of plays at practice. So Drew's done a good job to answer your question. I think it's a totally different world when linemen are coming at you both ways, other than everything's inside of you as an edge player. So, but he's done a really good job, getting better every day.
Coach, everybody on the team talks about Malik Hornby's speed and says he's the fastest guy out there. Do you have any confirmation on that, or is that just an eye test that you think he's the fastest guy? And who can run with him on your team?
Oh, we have a few guys that can run with him. I think, you know, A.J. Green would come off the top of my head that could probably you know, be close there in a race between the two of them. I think McLaughlin is really fast, you know, but Day Bishop is one of the faster guys we have on the team as well. I'm probably missing somebody, but no, I think in high school, I think Malik ran maybe 10.6, maybe 10.4. I can't remember one of those two, which I know there's a big difference in the two, but both of them are fast, you know. And I know AJ ran in the 10.3s when he was winning the 100 meters there in the state of Oklahoma. But Malik definitely is fast, and there's a difference in being fast on track and being fast on the football field. He probably is the fastest guy on the football field.
You talked about competition. I watched the other day with James Shebest, and we were both fascinated with your 2 kickers. Of course, Shebest's old special teams guy, going all the way back to your junior college days. But your Australian rules punter, Fletcher and Bauer, they seem to be having a little bit of a battle, Coach.
Yeah, you know, I miss those on the competition because there's certainly one there as well. Bauer's so valuable to us and some things he can do in the fake game and things of that nature. But we just felt like looking at Fletcher, and we had an opportunity to get him, and so we decided to put a scholarship into him as well. I think we learned that how valuable Cam Little was to us last year, and we certainly had to put a scholarship there to be able to solidify him at the University of Arkansas. So there's a big, they kick it 17 miles high, and our cover unit should be certainly a lot better because they're going to have more time to get down there.
Coach, you come into a year pretty well settled at quarterback with KJ Jefferson. I know you want to, have open competition there, but speak to the leadership he's providing for the players around him. I saw the video where he was mic'd up in practice, and just how vocal he is with his team. As a head coach, how settled does that make you, or how much more settled does that make you, knowing you've got a leader back at quarterback?
Well, he's key to our team. The defensive players know that as well, the special teams guys. I mean, KJ can do so many things, but probably his biggest quality is the respect he has on the football team. And, he can run. He's throwing the ball extremely well. You guys have been to practice. You see that playing better than he ever has, and it goes to experience. It goes to confidence. It goes to the team having confidence around him, but he certainly had an outstanding spring. I look for big things out of him, certainly throughout the remainder of the spring and the fall.
You've spoke on this before in press conferences, but we hadn't had a chance to ask you here on the show about your coordinators having not just one but both back for a third season. The continuity that creates, plus your special teams coordinator as well back. Give us your thoughts and insight on what that will do for your program, not just this year, but moving forward through recruiting, the development of the players, having both of those back for a third year. Where does that put your mind as the head coach?
Man, isn't that something? In year 3, and you can go out there, and I'll add the strength coach, Jamil Walker, in that as well. My philosophy, and I don't know if it's right or not, I want to keep the coaches, obviously the ones that I want to keep, but I want to keep the guys that I like that are that speak and can affect the most number of players. And so, obviously, your D coordinator speaks to the defense. Your O, obviously, and on and on and on. Your special teams guy speaks to the entire team. The next guy is your offensive line coach. He's got 20 guys in there. He coaches almost half the offense. You want to make sure you keep the offensive line coach. And then it goes back to secondary, and certainly Harry has a lot to do back there that way too. So if you can keep the coaches that talk to the most people, you've got a chance to continue to grow in that system, and that's what we've done. And I want to say this. I think, the guys are loyal as they can be because they've all had opportunities. They've had opportunities for more money. Now, the university was good to me, and they allowed me to give them raises to keep them and things like that. But that's a loyal group of guys because, everybody seems to think it's about money, but not to those guys. It's about the love for the University of Arkansas and the loyalty to stay and be a part of my staff, and that certainly makes me feel great.
Coach, Ricky Stromberg is big piece to the puzzle. Return for another year. Center is such a big factor in the offensive line. But you talked before the spring about finding more centers. How's Marcus Henderson doing? And then other guys that you may have had snaps some in these first 5 practices, how have they done?
Coach Kennedy was in here. He came in about 40 minutes ago, and I come in early on mornings off of practice and watch the practice and things, and I was telling him how excited I was of what he's doing at center because Henderson believed that's his spot. I believe that's his spot. But yesterday at practice, obviously Ricky Stromberg is is the key to the offensive line. Him and Dalton Wagner are both huge leaders. But Ricky took center reps yesterday. Marcus Henderson took center reps. Eli Henderson took center reps. Bo Limmer took center reps. And Luke Jones took center reps. And why is that important? Can't function without them. They hold the ball, them and the quarterback, every single rep. They hold the ball. They have something to do with the ball, which is so valuable. And we ran through there in team situations, 5 different centers. It's huge. I love Coach Kennedy. He's doing an outstanding job with them. But we're going to be just fine at the center spot, 1 through, in my opinion, 4.
Tell me about defensively, number 1. We always watch KJ, but that number 1 in the defensive secondary, Jalen Catalon, is a terrific player. Is he healthy, and what does he bring to the team now that you got him back on the field?
We learned a little bit of a lesson, Clay, last year with Henry. He had the shoulders. He said, hey, Coach, I'll come back, but I want to strengthen up. I've got to get my shoulders healthy for the season. And so we didn't scrimmage him at all. Cat, we've got him in the green, but yet he plays every rep with the ones. We've learned a little bit that, and to be honest with you, besides we thud almost every day in pads, Cat doesn't because he's in green. Him and right now Hazelwood are the 2 guys in green. But I think he's so valuable back there with his mouth, with his voice. Even it starts whenever we do just separate team O&D walk before practice. And he has so much value. If you notice, 2 years ago, even as a young player, we lost him against LSU for the second half, and it mattered. Certainly, we're much deeper than we were then, but he is the guy on defense, and we've got a lot of guys play extremely hard, but he is the voice of that defense.
Coach, I know you like to sing. One of my daughters heard you do your George Strait stuff one time.
Is she okay? Is she come over?
She emerged unscarred. She has no scars.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't know she'd heard me, I guess.
Yeah, she said that you could do a little troubadour and you could do a little cowboy rides away.
Man.
So what's some other songs that you sing in the George? She likes George Strait, by the way, so that was good. Not sure everybody else likes George Strait as much as you and I do, but what are some other things that you might sing in the shower?
I like that old "Paved Paradise, Put Up a Parking Lot." I like that song. Now it's a little older. The younger listeners.
I got it, Coach. I got it.
But I love that song. I kind of do that. And then I'll go some old timey church hymns every now and then because my mama used to sing them all the time.
Well, Jamie probably likes that. Yeah.
Yeah. Every now and then, Jamie. Now she don't get up with me in the morning, but every now and then she'll go, "Boy, that was so good," And I'm not singing. I'm not Elvis Presley. I'm just singing because I'm happy all the time.
Well, you're the opposite. Elvis got bigger in his old ages. You're getting smaller, Coach.
Hey.
Well, I'm working on it. Any heavy person or anybody they know it's a work in progress all the time. But I'm at least working at it because I know I need to. And I told the kids if they're going to win a lot of games, that means I'm on TV more. I got to lose some weight. I don't want to embarrass them, So I'm going to blame losing weight on the team. We're getting a little better, and so it's forcing me to lose some weight because I'm on the tube all the time.
Well, Coach, thanks for your time this morning. We look forward to the scrimmage tomorrow, and we'll catch up soon.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much.
All right, Head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks, Sam Pittman, with us here on the Morning Rush.
We're finally here. The top teams in college basketball have been determined, and the Final Four is set. Looking to wager on these games or the national championship? Head over to betonline.ag on your desktop or your mobile device and sign up today to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BLEAV to get started. That's BLEAV. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all your updated odds and info, along with player props and new contests throughout the year. It's the best source for all your sporting wagering needs, including live betting and everyone's favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's super easy to get started, so join today. Learn why everyone is saying BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.